Morning. All right, so today I have um, taken the tape off of my tops and drawn my outline on the top. So I've done that with this. I use one side as my template and I flip it over and use the other side. This is actually drawn from a Santos Hernandez plan, 1933, I believe. But I tend to use this outline because that's part of my plantilla. So what I've got here is I have taken the tape off the top and I have drawn, you can see the darker line, I've drawn my outline for my top. Now that obviously leaves me some room at the bottom here. You could do this, you could move this whatever you want in the space here to use. I've left some material down here at the bottom, and the reason I did that is because I'm actually going to cut some of this off so that you could be able to use it as your back strip if you want to. So I'll save that for later. I do have a little bit of excess at the top, very close on my edges, which I'm not really happy about, but it's what I have. So I may try to save some of this material from each side if I need to take it, and like this side would come over here and that side would come over there if I just need it for a little bit extra here. Don't anticipate that, but it could happen. Now the reason that I drew it up here instead of leaving it where it was drawn from my supplier is that I wanted to keep, there's some movement in the grain, some little tiny bear clawish things up here that I want to try to keep in my top. Also, when holding my top and getting my tap, I found that this side I think is a little bit stiffer than this side. So I moved this up a little bit so I could keep some of the stiffness in it. I'm building a flamenco guitar, so I want to try to keep a little bit stiffer top because I need the trebles to pop out more. All right, so on the back side, similar aesthetic issues here. I've drawn my top lower so that I can keep this in my center because my client wants to have that natural sapwood look there. And so I've drawn this down a little bit. That gives me a little extra room at the top. There may be enough now that I could actually use that for a headstock or something along those lines, but I doubt it. A little bit more room on each side on this one, which I like. So, all right, and let's see, it hasn't been thicknessed yet at all. Very high tap tones. So we'll be taking that down. It's at about 3.5 millimeters right now, 3.5 to 4 millimeters, and it's got to go down to around 2. So that's where we are on those. All right, so if you don't make a fancy back strip, this is one way to do it. Now what I've done is on the end of my top piece here, before I've cut anything out, I've marked some lines about 3/4 to 1 inch apart, straight lines, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a crosscut saw and against the backstop of my bench, I'm just going to very carefully cut those lines. Just go slow, follow your line. Don't go too aggressive so that you don't break it off. go. Rinse and repeat. You can get as many as you need there. I'm getting 3 off of this one. The next time I do a top, I get another 3. I'll have extras, and I'm good to go on that. Okay, so what here I've got is what will be the back of this guitar, and I don't really need these on here anymore. Just going to take those off. Okay, so what I've got marked, you can see the white line pretty easily on the camera, but inside that white line, or near that white line, I have a darker line scribed in with pencil. That is the actual size and shape of my plantilla. Alright, so what I want to do is I've got a pencil. I'm going to go ahead and mark about 4 or 5 millimeters, maybe more, maybe about 7 millimeters. Just going to go around and scribe myself another line. This is a line I'm going to use to cut to, or pretty close to. The idea being that I've got a little excess that I can trim off later once I've got the back in place. It gives you a little wiggle room. Also, because this is not yet thicknessed, it gives me a little bit of leeway in case I get a little tear out while I'm thicknessing. So this doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, I'm just going to be going around. I'm going to save right here up at the top. I'm going to save some space up there. Try to get this a little closer so y'all can see. And the reason I'm doing that is so that I can potentially make a button out of that, or use that in place at the end of the heel. Traditionally with the flamenco guitar, you use the back and then you inset the binding into the button. The button is part of the back. So if I can feasibly make that happen on this guitar, I will. If not, I can choose another button somewhere else, cut that part off, and make a traditional classical looking back. Alright, so I don't quite have that much room down here, but I've got enough excess that it's not a big deal. Now, that's marked out. The fun part begins. We're going to cut to our line. We're pretty close to it, like I've been cutting all morning. For this activity, I'm going to be using this saw. This works just like a coping saw. Blade's a little longer. Tension it up and zoom out. Nope, the other way. I've got to go to the end of my bench, so I'm going to kind of come over here and zoom in a little bit. And the reason for that is so that I can keep you in focus on the camera. But I'm left-handed, so I'm going to come around the left side here. Doesn't really matter where you start. Take a good this will take a moment. And I'm going to continue going around so that I eventually cut out the whole thing. And there we go. All cut out, ready to go forward. I've got my excess here. Save that for later. I might need to be able to use it for a call or to fill in something. So I'm going to set that aside. I have that just in case. Now on my back here, this will be the inside of the back, and the reason is because you can see my glue line right here. I don't have any of this sap up on this upper part right here, but I do on this side, and on this side it looks really nice. So I'm going to try not to mess with this side very much. Leave it like it is until I get it on the guitar, and then I'll shiny it up. But on this side, this is the side that I will thickness, and then once that's said and done, once it has been thicknessed, I will place my decorative back strip, kind of like that, and I will take my braces and set them in. There'll be 3 on this one in the largest part, one about here, and one about here. And then it'll be all shaped and everything, ready to go.